listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Boardwalk Empire After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Boardwalk Empire After Show.
Wow, Bing is for doing.
Yes.
And we're doing AFTERBUZZ TV Boardwalk Empire, Season 3, Episode 11. I'm Keven Undergaro.
And I'm Eboni K. Williams.
And hey, I'm Kristen Carney.
You guys are greatest.
High fives.
Yes,
High
fives.
fives.
In the studio.
Boosh.
YouTube viewers watch us do high fives.
Yes.
Best episode ever.
Ever. In 3 seasons.
Oh
Best one.
my God.
We have been waiting so long
Yep.
for this.
Yes.
So long.
I told you it was like Hulk Hogan coming back.
Yeah.
This is what you call a comeback in wrestling.
Don't call
They-
it a comeback.
They did so
That's right.
Yeah,
it's
he
a
never
return.
left.
That's right. It's a return.
Yeah.
They did so good at building the tension through this season for this moment.
I
for
love
this
that you
exact
used
moment.
that word and bringing that up in news
Yeah.
and gossip. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy. You know, I know there's a couple of initial thoughts right off the bat from our super fan, Mike August. And Mike was actually saying, Marissa, are you playing this in the background? Can you hear it? Yeah, you have to lower the volume.
I can hear a lovely
There
Chalky.
you go. Now, you see, Marissa, if I wasn't here and 2 other people on other shows, why do I know that you guys would just let that play?
Maybe it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be
like
playing?
that.
Anyway, no, just video. Anyway, again, YouTube viewers, we have in the background, we have the show playing. But why wouldn't we be excited? But I was saying that, you know, Mike August had sent me a couple of catches. He sent me a lot of catches from last week, and then he sent me a couple of brief ones. I know one of the things he was mentioning was how he feels like this is one big chess game, and it was just interesting, his breakdown. And then it brought me back to Nucky in the little Chinese checkers game, and the correlation between him playing that, his little board game alone, this little tiny game, and then the big bocce ball game going on by Joe the King, Joe the Boss,
Right.
Joe, you know, Messeria. Just kind of interesting.
And bocce ball takes a lot less thought, right? That's not as much
Less
strategy.
thought, right? It more
Yeah.
relaxed.
You guys
Everybody's
know-
out,
Brainless.
Yeah.
everyone's in the middle of the street doing it. They're
Right.
drinking their wine.
You guys know the saying, it's like the bigger the balls you play with, the dumber you are, and the smaller the balls you play with, the smarter you
Ah.
are. So like, you know, golf and those small ball sports are normally your intellects. And then the big football guys, you know, no harm.
No
but
harm, yeah. But
I like that.
anyway, but it's true, and I want to read tonight a couple of great catches. You know, we're gonna have a lot of catches from last week, but just some initial thoughts to open that he sent me. Once again from Mike August, and it's at Michael August. Is his
Yeah,
email.
yeah, I realized that afterward.
Episode opens with a hobby horse tipped over. That foreshadows Gyp's death. If you buy into what I said about me visualizing Gyp falling over like a chess piece when he dies, and the horse was white, and I mentioned Gyp being on the white side of the chessboard and Nucky on the black. And I think that there could be
goes
some,
a lot of ways.
right?
Yeah.
There could be something there because we see that Nucky
And
is
we've
on,
continuously seen horses and ponies.
and we see Nucky with the black.
Right.
Nucky
right?
is definitely with the blacks.
With the
yeah.
black, right? Eboni, you will confirm.
Winning-
Yeah, he
the
gets
winning
all
team.
his black card credit. Yeah.
He also said Gyp steals Nucky's desk. That is the equivalent of sitting on the king's throne in his mind. And the whole thing with Joe the King and Joe the Boss, you know, I think is a great,
Yeah.
you know, about great reference to the chessboard.
Sure.
It was interesting to me when Lansky said everything connects Charlie, as he was one of the architects of organized crime. And of course, we know that everything, took it as everything connects on this show. Like they're
Yes.
all interconnected. And as we find out by the end of the episode, it's all interconnected. Lots to go over. And I just building with the exciting stuff. Let's get Gillian out of the way.
Okay, yeah.
Jillian and Richard. I just heinous. She's just atrocious.
She's such a dream killer, right? Like, poor little Richard. Like, he's so happy finally. And she just goes for the jugular, you know. She's pretty girl, pretty name. She doesn't look blind, you know, because she knows that's Richard's vulnerability, you know. And it's so cold.
I also thought that when Jillian saw, you know, Gyp come in, take over her operation, that she would have a little heart for Richard, because Richard is now what you have. Gyp's come in, taken over her life. She has no control over that. I thought she would keep Richard in the picture to continue controlling him, but in a way that was more welcoming, less threatening.
Like an ally.
Yes.
It proved that she falls into the category of, I say about a lot of people, smart, not that smart. You know, she's smart, but if she were really smart, she would have said, listen, you're normal, and I get where you're coming from. This is our bigger enemy, but she, you know, obviously Tommy is just, you know, her Achilles heel.
Yeah.
She's too scared.
Yeah, because when her savvy took over, as soon as Gyp came in, and she just went with it. You could see
she knew
the
she
wheels
had to.
She knew she had to, but I saw the wheels turning in her head.
How do I end this?
How do I end this?
How do I get out of this?
Yes.
Right.
And then I just thought she took a left-hand turn the opposite way I thought she was going to go when she pushed Richard away.
Right. And
made a mortal enemy, I hope.
Oh, oh boy.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I like about her character, which I feel is very accurate, is I'm sure you guys don't have a lot of experiences with strippers. And
Well,
do you? Any friends who are strippers?
actually, I lived with one when I was in law
so
school
there
in
you
New
go.
Orleans. My
So there you
roommate was
go.
a stripper. Yeah.
And,
It's the worst roommate ever.
She always had a rent. Go ahead, though.
you know, times may have changed because it's become more popular, and I guess it maybe more people do it. But what I had noticed, and, you know, God, it's like I always go to my ugly past, but there used to be a thing called the Combat Zone in Boston. It's a very famous place. It had strip joints and prostitutes and whatever, and I ended up working there for 3 different winters when I, you know,
you the bouncer guy? Or?
No, they had like a bookstore, and I worked in a bookstore, and it was cash, and I was honest, and so they liked me, and being a writer, it's like I just made a couple of sales every night, and like they were happy just to have someone open and close and lock up, and I would get a lot of work done in the back. But I noticed that the women, the soul just was corroded.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was a great Family Guy that Seth MacFarlane once did. He did a PSA, you know, why you shouldn't kill strippers, and one of the reasons why is because they're dead on the inside anyway.
Right.
So
Well, you
I
always
see that in her.
There's
you know?
there's a strip club on La Cienega here, and it says live nude girls, but I always wish it says nude. I wish it would say nude live girls, so that like I would know they're alive.
Yeah. Well, they're
I
not
see it.
inside.
No.
Anyway, but I think this is great writing because she's just dead.
She's dead.
She's dead on the inside,
Corroded.
and to talk to him in that way and to say those cruel things.
Yeah, you're right. And Tommy is her Achilles heel, and I think that's the only thing left living in her.
Right.
Yeah.
And
'Cause
that's
it's
why
her connection to Jimmy still.
Right.
And she's just
And I'm
will
not
let go.
confident that in 10 years she doesn't start boning him.
Oh, no.
Right. I said that
Yeah.
last week. I wouldn't even be surprised if
Yeah.
it was sooner than that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we see the brothel now, her, like, dream brothel, this, like, fantasy she has of making this brothel this classy establishment, and we just see Gyp such an animal,
Such an
In that
animal.
scenario,
and what his people have turned it into.
because it's Gillian, I felt pleasure seeing her, even though it's this bad thing where these men are, you know, taking
Savages,
advantage of
yeah.
these women in this like animalistic way. But because it was in Gillian's place, I liked it. I was like,
I
just-
loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
screw them.
No, this is what you get. This is what you
Exactly.
get.
This
Yeah.
is what happens
Because
when you play.
you help set up Nucky.
Yeah.
And this is what you get. You know, and I see that with a lot of people who are vengeful. It's like, be careful of the boomerang effect.
Yes.
I see it
and
all
you
the
said,
time.
and Kevin said, be careful what you wish for when you saw Gyp come in.
Right.
Yes.
She chose that team.
That's
and Now
right.
she's
Yeah.
got to live with it.
Now
Good
you've
and the bad and the ugly. Ugh.
right? And so now you've got him. And, you know, you had Nucky who was reasonable.
Right. That's the thing too. You know, Nucky's reasonable, and I think both someone like Chalky and Gillian see Gyp come in, and they think, no.
Well,
It's-
no,
I can
Jillian
deal-
didn't. No, Jillian didn't.
But now
she bit, too
now
late
she-
now.
right, exactly.
Because you let it. You reap the terror. You
Yeah.
were the
But
one.
now
who
that he's
you let-
actually here,
too late now. You let
You-
in the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
right?
You
She
know-
was being emotional, you know, like she obviously took it personally when, you know, Nucky kills her son, but it's kind of like Kevin was saying, like, better to work with the devil you know.
That's
And
right.
she lost sight of that, and
Right.
now she gets what she gets.
Now you get a crazy maniac, an
Yeah.
animal.
And Gyp called her red, Which
red
I really
and
like.
Strawberry.
Or
He's
right.
obsessed with that.
He's
yeah.
obsessed with redheads, and I personally think it's a touch to Satanism and the devil, and because of who he is.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting. Speaking of Gyp, seeing him at the Ritz-Carlton, he's setting up shop. He's looking at the expensive bottle of booze. You can tell he's like, oh, I've been poor my whole life. My dad was a bricklayer. I've been treated like crap my whole life. Now here I've arrived. And then the book, and I made sure I wrote it down. And Mike, and it's so sad, Mike, August. We just lean on you so much. And a lot of our fans, and Michelle in New York, and thank God, because you can figure this stuff out. But as I was writing down the book, which was,
what was it, Ragged Dick or something?
yes,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's gotta, Ragged Dick, it's gotta mean something. But there was a nice little message
From his mom.
from mom to son, and then he was like, I have to get out of here.
Yeah.
I have to get out. And then he's looking at that tool. What is that tool? It looks like some kind of hook. I wish I knew.
I almost think he was going to put that tool in his pocket and take it, and actually perhaps use it on Nucky.
But really? I think he was just trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah.
That too, but it's his.
And again, I should know what it is too, because I love antiques. But what I didn't quite understand, I want a table here. He reads the book. The inscription on the book says, "Get me out of here."
Right.
Is it because he just hates family so much?
Too tender. Yeah, that's what I took from it. It was like a tenderness, and obviously that's very troublesome.
You don't want to
for
see a
him.
human side of your enemy, and I think seeing that side didn't warm his heart. It made him sick to his stomach.
It's also the envy,
Nucky.
right?
Made him sick. I think you're right. Made him sick.
sick.
Made him sick to his stomach because I don't feel that he would care.
No.
I know, for me, if I had to kill someone, I would have to know that person was Hitler in my brain to be able to pull the trigger. And so I agree with you saying, but I think a normal person would
See
look for that, right, and say, oh, no, I got to stay focused. But he doesn't need to stay focused.
No.
He's just an animal, kill anything. But I think you're right. It was just disgusting to him.
Yeah.
Right? Just anything to do with family and Nucky.
Right. These people, I can't even believe
and
they're here.
And I'm disgusted by my own mother, maybe.
I was going to say,
again,
he's so
family.
jealous of everything about Nucky, including the fact that he was loved. Because I don't really think that we saw that kind of relationship between him and his mom. So it's like that too. You guys are freaking sicking me out.
And again, last week when Gyp killed
guy's cousin.
the sailor.
Yeah, his cousin.
He said, like we said, don't use family as an excuse. Gyp doesn't find that heartwarming whatsoever.
But but then he said, because he's family, he did him a solid.
right.
And he put
You
a
owe
shovel.
me.
Yeah. And you
you owe me because I made that. We didn't mention that last week.
We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the commercial breaks. The fact that he said, you owe me, and he meant it.
Yes.
I took it easy on you. You're welcome.
You owe me.
Right.
Yeah.
That could have been a lot worse.
Oh my God. It's funny, before the show started, Ebony and I were in it. We have this concession stand area. We were popping our popcorn at the candy counter of one of our screening rooms, and I was saying to Ebony, I'm like, they've done such a good job that I'm not ready for Gyp to get his comeuppance. I feel like I need 6 more episodes of him, but I don't see any way around it.
No.
Get ready to say goodbye.
Well, I'm ready. I'm fired up. No, there's definitely I'm ready to go.
Next season, we have to have someone even bigger and better than him.
For sure.
But
I count out. You know what? I have faith in our writers of these kind of shows to give us that.
Yeah.
If we don't even see seeds being planted next week to get us there, but without giving anything away, because we don't know. We don't know. Let's say we don't. We can predict that Gyp may go down, but we don't know.
Right.
We don't know. Okay. Just a little shout out to iTunes. You guys have been really great, giving us great notes, great examples. We've had a lot of fun with it. And I forget the guy's name. I think it's Corvette Guy. He gave me a nice shout out. He goes, I know I hurt your feelings about being overprivileged.
Yeah.
Overprivileged, no, not the race thing.
Yeah, no, it's over. Yeah,
it's being overprivileged because we mentioned last week my dad was a construction worker and a mason.
Right.
And but you know what? I say this. He was actually right. He was wrong that I was overprivileged, but he was right about. He said something else about growing up kind of away from everyone else. The neighborhood was Italian and Irish. Italians hated the Irish hated Italians, and there were a couple of crossovers, and that was it. And everyone in the whole entire world was Catholic. It was just, that was it. You played stickball on your street. So he's right about that, and it wasn't until we moved to another town, and then I started working in the Carney business. Then I forget it. Then it was just on. And then the one good thing about LA is that you really exposed to everything. We have everybody out here, every kinds and every kind of person, every different genre, and gender, and it's one of the few good things about our business.
Yeah, we have a lot of genders here.
A lot of it.
Like both.
Men
Well,
and
3.
women.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Trans.
other. Right.
Yeah.
And C and D and all the above. But you know the cool thing about our business is that we are a melting pot for it. You know, and it even goes back to Sinatra, who you would think would just be this mean guy, but he was the one that always took up for the communist writers, or the black people, or the gay people. Like, so it's one of the cool things about the business. But you know, he was right about that. And to bring it back to iTunes, like we love getting your comments, and even YouTube, we're getting a lot of engagement on YouTube as well. And I feel like we send everyone to iTunes because the majority, I mean, the massive majority of our audience is iTunes, but you know, we run the cameras for a reason, and it's always nice to give some YouTube love too. So, anything to add to that before we go on to Lucky and Meyer?
Thank you.
Just thank you guys. Keep doing it. We love the comments. We love the ratings.
And we love all that. Okay, and only one more week, which is just oh my God, I know it's just tearing my heart out. And next week we have to figure it out. I have Maria host the Disney Parade for ABC, and I go to that. And I'm going to rush back on Sunday night to be able to do the show. If not, we'll tape it on Monday. We will have it up for you, so please be patient with us. We will not miss that for the world. Okay, Lucky and Meyer, very interesting. Lucky getting a little ahead of himself. Meyer keeping the cool head, as we've seen before. Italian, Jewish, you know, the Jewish guy keeping his head. The Italian guy rushing ahead like me. Oh, Phil, let's build another studio at AfterBuzz. Wait, we don't make any money. So what? But it's interesting. I kind of enjoyed seeing Lucky squirm, because he's another one. He brought it. He did this. He wanted to be buddies with Joe the boss, Joe the king, and gave up Nucky. And so I kind of was glad to see him get.
It's another scenario of you made your bed, now lay in it. And I thought they both got ahead of themselves last episode.
They did.
Getting involved in
They did. Rothstein warned them, said stay on the sidelines, guys, which is the smart play.
Yeah.
And they both got ahead. And now Meyer's going, whoa, slow down, cool your jets. Oh, this guy's from Buffalo, but we don't even know him.
I wonder if these characters or these people in this world listen to what's really being said. I remember season 1 or 2. Rothstein said, Nucky went to him for some advice, and he was like, what if I don't have a move? And Rothstein said, then you wait. And when you see an opening, you remember that? Like, that changed my life.
I wish I was so smart. No,
but sometimes people aren't smart enough to see the opening.
No, of course not. But,
right, but my point is that Lucky or these people, they're privy to all this great wisdom, and if they listened when this man spoke.
By the way, I've never gotten it in business ever.
Yeah.
You know, stupid like bachelor degree, like typical of some drinking college. You know, like Catholic school, like it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it was hard, but it wasn't. They didn't teach. Like I don't know. Were you guys ever prepared?
No, these are life lessons, right? And I just feel like Rothstein told his ass 2 seasons ago how to handle this.
But he also told us too as an audience.
Yeah, he did.
You know, we were talking about it last week, Eboni, how like there's been reports where the Godfather has actually educated men in business. Like there's a lot of talk in the corporate world how they base a lot of their decisions just on what they learned from the Godfather. And I was saying, like, these writers, somebody's schooled in business to know this stuff, because I know I'm learning.
These are life nuggets. Like when he said that, or even when Nucky one time told Margaret, it's important to always have something to look forward to. I will never forget that as long as I live.
Yeah, you're
like,
right.
These are awesome little nuggets. But anyways, it was just such a parallel to me. Like, Rothstein has been consistent in advising these guys to wait for the perfect opportunity. Don't force a fit.
Yeah,
and here we see Lucky Luciano forcing a fit.
Right. So I'm grateful to see.
They should have been wary of someone from Buffalo also. Buffalo is actually.
But they're Muppet babies.
I know, yeah. But Buffalo is about 8.5 hours from New York City. So it's not an easy trip for someone to just randomly be trying to buy stuff from New York City all the way from Buffalo.
It was an amateur.
So yeah, you should have known to look out for something like that.
Okay, so finally, let's make it all Nucky and Chalky for the rest of the show. Okay, we'll do catches of the week. We'll talk about Afterblog.
We'll got some news and
by
gossip.
the way, news and gossip, we have huge predictions, but it's all about Nucky and Chalky. So starting out with, it opens with a bang, bang, bang.
4 of them.
We see Kessler with Nucky, and we see immediately that Nucky lives up to what I've at least been saying about him is why he's the guy to root for.
Yeah.
Yes, he's making the tough decisions. He's being ruthless, but there's still a heart in there. And you see it when he tells Kessler, Eddie, he says, go. Go. Just go. And he said, but those are paid men. Like, they're not there out of loyalty. I'm here.
Right.
And I'm not leaving. Just awesome. But it was great that Eddie was like that, but I thought it was great, too, that Nucky was like, no, go. Yeah. They're coming to kill us. Get out of here. And he was worried about his safety. And we see that worry go throughout the episode.
Well, that makes me wonder about Margaret and the kids. Nucky sent them away, right? They didn't choose to leave. I was assuming because he wanted Kessler to go, he also, regardless of Margaret cheating on him or not, didn't want her there for this. I don't think it was Margaret choosing to leave.
He knew to get her right out.
Right.
And he did say, and I thought it was great, too, speaking to my point, he said, what about the kids?
Yeah,
he was
of
very
course.
concerned
Always
about the children.
Kids.
So I love it. I love how at the end of last year, him killing Jimmy made everyone believe, like, oh, all of humanity now has gone out of Nucky. And I didn't buy it. No. I did not buy it. And you see in this episode, even when Eddie's being operated on, you know, he has a chance to bail out on that, to not go forward with the operation. Says no, operate. Keep going. You know, even if the guys risk the guy screaming to, you know, get caught by Gyp. And I thought it was beautiful. I loved it.
Loyalty's huge in Nucky's world. You know, there's not many people he can trust, and he knows that. And I'd like to mention that before he got all mushy with Kessler, he did ask the question, did you know? You know, what about you?
Right.
Did you know about, you know, just to keep it 100. And he's like, my life is to serve you, you know, whatever. And, you know, reestablish that loyalty in that relationship.
I think Nucky's having a lot of life lessons here, not just from being attacked and his life being threatened, but also realizing that he didn't know Chalky's phone number.
Right.
And he didn't know Kessler had family.
Right.
And he never thought to ask.
Right.
Right.
A lot of realizations, like, wow, I've gotten too deep in this.
Yeah. Like, look where I've gotten myself.
Yes.
And these are the people that are here next to me, standing by me in
right.
this.
In the end.
And he won't forget. He will not forget. He will never forget.
No. And Kessler was making me very nervous because he was speaking German, and that's something that you do when you're about to die.
Yeah.
You revert back to what you know and
Native
what's easiest.
I can't wait if Mike, August, if you're listening, or other fans, if you can tell us what that
if you
German
can also
was.
speak German.
Well, they've translated. No, our fans have done it before. They've
Right.
translated the German first before.
Cool.
So hopefully we'll get some kind of translation, because I'd love to know what he was saying, and I'd love to know, is his family dead? Did they die in World War I?
That's what I was getting from
Right.
it. Yeah.
The way it sounded, the address, you know, it almost sounded like a old. It wouldn't exist now.
And we'll all be there
or in the
together.
20s
We'll all be home soon, meaning like we'll all be reunited.
Afterlife.
Yeah. So which we'll find out.
It'll break my heart if he doesn't make it.
I think he's gonna make it.
He's gonna make it.
He's gonna make it.
We got through the woods.
Yeah.
We got through the woods. And Chalky and the son-in-law.
Master Samuel stepped up big time.
Yeah,
I was
he
happy
did.
to see that.
But he said, I don't know, I'm a student.
Yeah.
He still stands his ground at the end.
Yeah, that's.
So it's just showing he's got a backbone. He's not a bitch.
Yeah, no, he's not. No,
you know, he's standing up to all of them.
Right. He'll let him know he's not just going to bend over and do exactly what they want him to do.
I loved it too because they didn't paint Chalky's boys to be all saints either. They were like, they're human. 25 grand.
That's a lot of money.
Someone's gonna turn. And I love like the fact that Chalky's like, all right, I'll get you out of here. And of course, the way it went down was great. I loved it. Well, you know, before we get to Chalky versus Gyp,
right?
We waited all season for this, and I'm gonna break pat myself on the back, because I called that two things, that Chalky would step up against Gyp, and I still say Richard.
Yes.
Which, you know, we'll talk about. We should actually. We'll talk about Richard when we talk about what happens at the very end. But Chalky versus Gyp, I loved finally seeing it.
It was great seeing Chalky like this, because you almost saw him in his throne. Like, he was the king, and it wasn't king for a day. It's going to be king for a while. And he was reigning over Gyp to me in his demeanor. It was like Chalky got the attention he finally deserved in this setting. You know, we finally got to get him to where we can have him
Yeah.
where he'll execute his character as well as he can in a scene like that. That's what that scene is
What's
for.
interesting though is that Gyp didn't even know it. Like he didn't even know that Chalky was still really running it because Gyp's a very one-dimensional type of guy.
I don't think. Listen, I think it was a battle back and forth between the two of them.
It was a battle.
And I think ultimately Chalky held his ground. Here's what I find more interesting. It's to your point, but one step beyond. Gyp needs that big desk, you guys.
Yeah.
I'm the man. Look at this. Look at the big desk I have. Now I control the town. That you couldn't put Chalky in a shittier environment.
Mm-hmm.
And yet that little old rickety chair was his throne.
Right.
Firmly in command.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Didn't need the education. Doesn't need the sweets, and he doesn't need the hors d'oeuvres and the champagne. No.
Yeah.
And he was owning it. And I think when they went tete-a-tete, it was back and forth. It was the game of chess because if Chalky owned him, that would have been the finale.
Well, no, it was back and forth, definitely, but Gyp wasn't speaking the right language, and he didn't know
exactly.
that.
Totally blew it.
Like totally blew it.
Tried to come in with
I'm gonna be a new and improved, better massa to you, and that is the last
But back
thing.
up even before he got there, right? Because he started out okay. He started out with Jim Massari. He went off.
How
to
do
his
I
big
address
name.
you?
No, he went to his big Italian name, and what he's trying to say is, I'm an outsider like you.
Oh,
right? But that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's like,
we're both in the oven too long. Yeah.
And, it was great because what was Chalky had so many amazing
great
lines.
one-liners.
What was the line he said about being in the oven?
Oh, so Gyp, right? Yeah, Gyp goes to me. Maybe you a little longer than me. He's like, you're just not done cooking yet.
You're just not done with that smirk,
Yeah.
and just a great exchange. But then as it unfolded,
right,
then he showed his true colors to say, I'll treat you well, boy.
Basically,
I'm gonna be a good master to you, and that's why he does not have the panache, the charm, all those things that I want. I talk about Gotti having and Capone having, and at least historically we knew about Capone, but all of those bosses generally have that. They know, like Nucky.
I was
have tact.
Nucky has it because particularly dealing with this time period and race relations. This is very delicate, right? Because of course they're not racially equal in society. There's still a very clear distinction between the racial and social classes.
By the way, few are in this. This is a weird
absolutely,
world.
Very weird world, and everyone has to know their place and stay in their lane. But what Nucky is really good at is making Chalky still feel very respected. And I think that's why he didn't take it so well when he was a little dismissive last episode in reference to the club.
Right.
That was like, oh, okay, this is a new Mr. Thompson. But obviously we see they made amends.
I mean, did you know that I predicted last week that that's what was going to happen?
I'm not shocked because, see, you know black people so well.
That's right. I said, no, I know white people. I knew Nucky. No, I knew Nucky was going to need him.
Going to need him, yeah.
And Chalky was going to bail his ass out, and then he was going to get his club.
And everyone's going to be worth a lot of more money.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, big strides in race relations and everything. It's very progressive.
Yes.
But to see the battle, but we're watching it up on the screen now, and the showdown between the two of them, when he says to him, we're gonna treat you real well, you just see it, right? Chalky's like, you know what? If I ever had any doubt over who I should be working with, you just settled up for me.
Right.
You just settled it up for me.
Right.
But Gyp's so good that he goes $25,000 anybody.
Anybody.
He leaves that statement before he goes out.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man, he's in for a big surprise, Mr. Rosetti. Oh, you are in for a surprise. So next thing we know, Nucky gets Chalky out of there, and I thought it was very interesting because before they got in the truck, Nucky said, "Don't stop till I say." Okay, and I thought that was the last word. No. Chalky comes out and says, "Don't come out till I say."
I thought, I caught that too. Like,
so
there's no shift of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, and you see, Buscemi plays it so well. It's like, fair enough.
You're right.
Yeah. So and it's great, and we hear they get this little ambush, and these guys try to muscle on Chalky, and the next thing you know, pop, the guys are dead, and it's okay. Let's get you out of here. And I think what Nucky heard from Eddie about holding your head high.
Right. Keeping your head something.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Other people aren't trusting you.
Trust yourself when people doubt you, and make allowance for doubting too.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm sorry, I'm screwing it up, but it's key. And hearing that, I think really inspired him to say, no, we're not leaving.
Right.
They're gonna think we killed these guys and fled. That's just we want them to think. no, for win or lose, I'm going to stand and fight.
Yes.
And then we see little Willie, Eli's eldest, pulled into bound again.
That you
said
called
it. Yes.
I
a
did
couple
call that.
episodes ago.
By the way, I'm wrong, you guys, so many times on all these other shows. I'm so excited about this one.
Like batting
But
100.
no, but they gave us all those little nuggets on Easter Sunday that he
Yes.
was going to step up in some capacity, and sure enough, he does.
Yes.
And he saw that. And once again, Nucky has this exchange with Chalky, which was beautiful.
Yes.
Where it's like, I'll give you the club, and it's like, okay, you know what, we're stuck with each other then.
Go down the road a little farther.
And by the way, like they're two like super macho guys. They're not no huggy kissy there, but it was just cool. It was a really
There was a
great
handshake
moment.
of respect though, and I liked that. Like,
Oh,
you could see.
I think there was
like,
a ton of love and respect. It
yeah.
just got exchanged in the smirks, and they just were like, yep, it's just I guess just two old gunslingers like,
Yeah.
and this is how we're gonna go out together, which I loved. I also loved to fortify the point about Nucky, being a decent guy. He's like, my nephew. That's my nephew.
Yes.
He runs right out there
Yes.
to save him and to make sure.
Yes.
And lo and behold, it's the Black Army. It's Eli.
I told you that before. Yep. I said Chicago's going to step up.
You were right, and I didn't call that
Yeah.
because I thought everyone was so against them. I'm like, well, how would they profit with another war? But who but a true
Yeah.
cowboy,
Good old Capone.
Muppet Baby Capone, who's
Muppet
maybe
Baby
no
Capone.
longer a Muppet Baby.
Yeah.
And how phenomenal. I'm getting the chills even thinking about it. That shot of him walking up, putting the
Yeah.
cigar in his mouth.
And that was the best. The ending line was amazing. Like,
Right?
We'll talk about who's gonna
Yeah.
die.
Been
Yeah,
on the road for
now.
18
I'm gonna have some
hours.
chow,
Have some chow, shower, and then we'll talk about who
Who's
dies.
gonna die?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
business.
Wasn't
It's
that
real.
amazing?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like this is the birth of Al effing Capone.
Yes.
The combination of the actors and the writing together, it's like it just creates magic.
You guys, it's a 12. Here's what I see these as. I see these seasons as 12-hour movies.
They are.
This is us, and I know I'd be the type of sicko who would go to an AMC theater, and I would sit there for 12
Oh, yeah.
hours for sure, and I'd watch it. Okay, give me a couple intermissions to go to the bathroom, but other than that, like I'd watch this from beginning.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's just one giant feature, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we're on hour 11, or the end of hour 11, and
Yeah.
that's how we end it, which is that line,
Yeah.
and who's going to die, which I loved. And a shout out to Richard
Yes.
with the Army, we see the U.S. Army blanket or cloth over his case, and out comes all the hardware. So shit's going down. Like, he really loves that kid.
Yeah.
Sorry,
well, she drew the
Jillian.
line in the sand, Like, I think he was willing just out of loyalty and just his personality to kind of be around for as long as
He would have.
needed.
I believe that.
But when she kicked him out, it's like, okay,
But
fair
again,
game.
she hit the chords that were the.
Every
I mean,
single
that's
chord.
he said that's my life. You don't touch that.
Yeah.
Which is Julia. It was the picture. It was him with Tommy and Julia in the picture where the mask was on the
Yeah.
opposite side, so he
said,
looked
"That's
normal.
he said, that's my life. What did he say? That's my
That's
other
my-
life?
That's my life.
That's my life. You don't have any right. And he
You
called
don't
her
have
on
any
that.
say over that. Like, you
Yeah.
own me here, but
Yeah.
you don't have any say
You don't
over
have
there.
any right to that.
It's like that's his sweet spot.
Yeah.
She hit him in the sweet spot, and now it's.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, between the army we have assembled and Richard, who's just, is a
Who's
one-man
a one-man army who can
He's a sniper.
who's gonna wipe
you guys,
out.
I
He's
can't wait
gonna-
to get to predictions because it's the whole ball
I know.
of wax.
I'm holding off right.
Yeah,
I'm really not saying
it's
much.
the whole
'cause
ball of
it's-
wax. Well, I'm going to go to Catches the Week before I do. Jason Squamata in his after blog did a great after blog that I would love for you guys to go check out. If you go to AfterBuzzTV.com and you see the after blog button, and you check out his after blog for Boardwalk Empire entitled "A Man with a Plan." There was one paragraph that really stuck out to me as I'm dropping papers everywhere. My Catches of the Weeks. This again from Jason Squamata with the Afterblog. I see Margaret screaming over that open crate in an elegant foyer. The depth of her connection to the young assassin becoming painfully apparent to Nucky with her every shriek. It's like something out of a Greek tragedy. It's the scream of a woman who is prepared to make a bold choice for the love of her life and the lives of her children, realizing that it was not her choice to make. She and everyone she'll ever meet is caught up in the kismet of this tragedy. The machineries of fate have decreed that she remain a bride of blood, holed up in a fortress, waiting for the devil to come and bring hell down around the ears of her and the emperor she spurned. It's just interesting. So anyway, if you dig Jason's writing, which I don't know how you couldn't, and you want some really great insight on the show, please go check out the After blog. Now, as for superfan Mike August catches of the weeks for A Man with a Plan, here were some of them. The episode opens with Neptune, who is the Roman god of water in the sea. He is the Italian version of Greek Poseidon, also was a god of horses, which of course is symbolic of Gyp. He is seeking control of the waterways for bootlegging, etc. Pretty cool. That also ties into what I feel is the theme of the episode, that trying to prevent from drowning and doing what is needed to stay afloat. Several references to sea creatures too, namely Owen stating, "I am not a monkfish." Well, if he was a fish, he would not have drowned. And with that in mind, it was interesting to me that Gyp's way of preventing Franco from drowning was to bash in his head. Shows obviously the barbarism in him. Another theme was the importance of patience. Owen said, "This job doesn't call for an army, just patience and opportunity." And Rothstein mentioned, "A deal will always wait, and a fool will always rush in." That fool, of course, being Gyp, which we did mention last week, and we were talking about great business advice. Franco states, "When the winds shift, sometimes waves crash into each other from all directions, and when that happens, they make big waves. I see that as subtext between the war between Nucky and Gyp Masseria, which we did mention last week. We see Van Alden selling away his morality one bottle at a time, and he realizes that in his prayer, in his prayer when confronted by Capone. That ties in with Jess Smith reading The Redemption of David Corson, which is a book about sin and the titled Redemption. Chapter 2 is called And Satan Came Also, which is totally symbolic to the season. Chapter 3 is called The Egyptians, which ties into Gyp talking about his father laying bricks and being a builder. The Egyptians were the most famous of all builders, with pyramids, etc. Chapter 6 is The Trail of the Serpent, and Richard mentions sea serpents in the opening scene with Neptune. Chapter 9, When Paths Converge, goes with the aforementioned talk of waves crashing into each other. Chapter 11 is The Flesh and the Devil. Finally, I believe this is Chapter 18, being titled A Fugitive and Vagabond. And isn't that what Van Alden and his lady are? This is very much akin to what Breaking Bad did with Whitman's Leaves of Grass last season. Nucky is seen playing what appeared to be Chinese checkers before Chalky enters, which we mentioned, showing that he is a strategist, and also may foreshadow him getting involved in the opium dens and heroin trade with the Chinese. And is Chalky talking about the famous Cotton Club, which happened to open in 1923? If so, that will be the gateway for such gangsters as Dutch Schultz to enter the series. And speaking of Chinese symbolism, Owen's body arrived at 4 a.m. I mention often that 4 is the Chinese symbol for death. And I may be digging too deep with Jim's shovel here, but Margaret is pregnant with Owen's baby, and Owen spelled backwards is new O. Owen is dead, but his baby is on the way. Possibly a palindrome. The writers hid there.
Wow.
Plus, I kind of get the vibe that Gyp won't survive tomorrow's episode, and the finale will be more about Masseria and paving over the damage that Gyp created. If so, that would be the writer's way of saying Gyp was not even a big enough villain to get into the season finale. Perhaps the title Two Imposters refers to Gyp as a wannabe gangster. We shall see. By the way, so we know, as much as we know you're great, Mike, you were wrong about that. Why was it Two Imposters? The title. Nothing? No, really, just dead air.
Yep, crickets.
Two Imposters. Okay, fans, let us know. Well, Two Imposters. You know what? Is it Nucky and Chalky? Only because I see the two of them together.
I don't feel they're imposters,
No,
though.
But no, but they are no. But maybe imposters are something different. Maybe they're not evil men. Maybe they're not ultimately greedy.
Yeah.
Or because who would be the two? Or would it be
Gyp and Gillian?
Gyp and
Gyp
Gillian.
and Gillian, maybe. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Not the leaders that we thought they were. He's not this like rich, smart, educated leader.
Or maybe it could be Masseria and Gyp.
Could be.
Masseria sucks.
I don't know. But anyway, hopefully let's get some feedback from you guys to help us out with that. And now let's go into some quick news and gossip.
Yes, news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so earlier today, Variety ran a piece entitled Toasting Boardwalk Empire's Splendid Season. And I thought this was really neat because earlier in the season, we all kind of voiced some frustrations, and we saw some even blogs and written pieces talking about how slow the season was. And it's just so nice to see the payoff. You know, like this has just paid off in big dividends here at the end. In the piece, they used some terms. Kristen mentioned one earlier, tense. Like, I think if you describe the entire season in one word, it would be tense. Just this surmounting tension building up. Shifting of alliances and twistedness were just constant themes throughout this entire season. So Variety gave big ups to Boardwalk Empire.
Good.
Season 3.
As well they should.
Moving on. So this is fun for me. This is some fashion news. So Complex Magazine sat down with Boardwalk's tailor. His name is Martin Greenfield. And they talked to this guy about, you know, doing all of this amazing fashion that we always see week after week on the show. And when he was asked who his favorite character to dress on the show was, no surprise here, Nucky Thompson. And he says that Steve Buscemi loves the fashion, loves the clothes, comes in every week to the warehouse, tries everything on.
So great. God.
So great. And apparently when interviewed, and Steve was asked what one of his favorite parts of the show was, he said wardrobe as well. And, you know, it's just neat. Other stuff this guy's...
I love that. No, and I also,
Yeah.
I think that speaks so much to when you work with great actors.
Yes.
They get so immersed in the role that it makes your job as a writer and a director so much easier because they really run with it. And not
Yes.
all of them do.
Yes.
The greats do. But even some of the ones that are still have great names and can turn it on when they need it, you hear these awful stories that they just mail it in.
Yeah.
When they come in, they just what? Okay, what do I wear?
Where do I go?
Okay,
Whatever.
great. But
Yeah.
you love hearing that, and I know as a director, like the actors that I've worked with that bring that, like I want to work with them all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just that Buscemi, who's also a filmmaker, I buy it. I love it.
I buy it. I love it too. Well, and it's like obviously when doing a period piece, and we've all spoke about how beautifully this series
Gorgeous.
is done, and a part of that is the wardrobe. It's
Yep.
absolutely impeccable. I mean, every scene we see Chalky white in. I mean, the bow tie is crisp, the suit is white,
Right.
the hats are white. It's gorgeous. And this guy's 84 years old, but he says
No way.
84. He's been doing this since the 20s, and
Oh my God.
he's just
and that's
he's like
incredible because in
28.
Hollywood where they throw out old people, that is wow,
Yeah.
what a great
You
story.
need someone who's wise to do something
Yeah,
like
like
this.
he says in the interview, like, I remember this time, like I
oh my
totally am
goodness.
there.
Genius.
He's also he's doing the stuff for Great Gatsby right now, and he actually did the stuff for Argo as well.
You know, it's hard, you guys. Like, I think if the show were taped in or filmed in L.A., I don't know if they tape or film, but we would have many more guests. It's hard that they're in New York,
Yeah.
because wouldn't that be a great
It'd
guy
be
to talk
awesome.
right?
I'd sweet
And the
talk
set
him.
design.
to?
Designer.
I think next season, you guys, we got to focus more. I'm putting you
getting
guys on that
guests. Okay,
Yeah.
we're
because
on
I know
it.
you can do it.
We can do it. But yeah, so and all the stuff's handmade and it's great. Oh, one last thing, I thought this was neat. He said he can always tell where the plot's going based off how many costumes he has to make for somebody. So for instance, the sheriff that burned alive, they had to make 4 of those jackets. So they knew his time on the show was
yeah.
going to be limited.
Yeah, he was going to get
So
shot up or
I
blown
just
up.
thought that was really neat.
They're
So-
like, make one that's melted.
right, we're going to need 4 of those and no more after that. Thanks.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, so cool.
Anything
beans.
else?
Well, I've got some stuff. Steve Buscemi had a little Q&A on HBO Connect a couple days ago. And
oh, good,
Cool.
finally.
yeah, I mean, his answers are a little vague. I think he was probably typing, or someone was typing them for him, so it was over the internet. So it wasn't as descriptive as maybe you would hope. But I think this one's a little apropos because this has to do with Mr. Kessler. Someone asked a question, how hard is it to do a scene? I didn't think the question was really spot on, though. But he said, how hard is it to do a scene with Mr. Kessler without laughing out loud? He's hilarious. Greetings from Brazil. Steve Buscemi wrote, I love working with Anthony. It's the closest I'll come to feeling like Laurel and Hardy. Nucky loves Eddie Kessler, which is why he treats him so badly sometimes. It hurts Nucky's feelings when Eddie appears to do something wrong. So long live Eddie Kessler. So, obviously, he's
It's a
staying
great,
around,
but also a great understanding too of character to know that you shit on the people you love the most sometimes because you know they'll put up with it.
Right.
exactly. Does Nucky really love Margaret? This was asked by someone else, and he said, and now that she's pregnant, how is this going to change things? Steve Buscemi said, I do think Nucky really loves Margaret, no matter how angry he gets with her,
Yep.
especially for signing away his land to a church. I hope they'll work things out, mainly because I want to continue working with Kelly. She's incredible, and I am so sorry to see Charlie Cox go. He was great as Owen.
God, it's just Buscemi, man. How great would he be to work with? And I wonder if he subscribes to the old school actor being the old school way of acting and not doing many interviews because they don't want to give up the magic.
Yeah.
Like I know Cruise doesn't like stuff being shot. He doesn't like E&G Cruz back shooting his movies, behind the scenes. He doesn't like that stuff, but not because he's a snob. He doesn't want to give away the magic. He wants you to experience the magic of the movie. And where I don't see a lot of interviews with Buscemi, makes me wonder if he's not the same way.
Probably.
Where he doesn't want to give up a lot.
I like that. It keeps him
I
mystique.
love
It
that.
makes it more special for us, for him, for everyone
I think
involved.
my rule is always this: if you're a TV personality and that's your business, you can't get enough of the mic.
Well, Corolla actually was saying recently about how Brad Pitt, like you don't want to hear Brad Pitt talk because he's no longer handsome. He's like the idiot you went to college with.
Right.
So Corolla was really funny.
But it's true. But,
Yeah.
but about
Funny.
any movie star, you
Yeah.
don't want to get to know them
Yeah.
because you want to buy whatever character they're playing.
I heard an interesting. Sidney Poitier gave Denzel some advice about that too. He's like, don't do too much interview, don't do too much press, because if they can get you for free, they won't pay to see you.
Yeah, that too.
Yep.
That too. And and Sidney, always, even to this day, like I do a lot of research on him because I watch Turner Classic Movies, all the amazing films, and yeah, he was just so classy.
Such a
So
class
old Hollywood.
act.
By
Yeah.
the way, so just to like throw on like some dumb name dropping, I spent my Thanksgiving with Mickey Rooney,
Wow.
the last of
very
old
cool.
Hollywood.
Right.
Like I was saying,
Contract
you
player.
have old Hollywood, I think, which has got to be like Eastwood now. If he's in his mid 70s, so I think like it's old Hollywood when you
Yeah.
Wow.
deal with Mickey Rooney, and yeah, it was just something. I'm a huge fan
That's
of the old time actors and the young actors that follow in those old school ways.
yeah.
So I love it.
Can I do one more little news thing?
Yes, please.
I'm fixated on Paz de la Huerta for whatever reason because I think she's a train
I think
wreck.
a lot of people are.
She's
Yes.
a train wreck though because there's this website called Crazy Days and Nights. I don't know if you've seen it. They do a lot of breaking celebrity gossip, but they don't say the name.
Oh. Okay.
And they rumor, they just kind of give you hints. So anyway, they did a story, I believe it was yesterday or so. They said an actress B-list is down in Miami doing meth. If, like pretty bad stuff. So anyway, at the same time, pictures surfaced on dailymail.uk of Paz de la Huerta looking horrible in Miami, changing in public, and her boobs were out. So
I'll tell
anyway,
ya.
I just find her, like, I follow what she does because I think
No,
she's...
and it's relevant to Boardwalk, and I always say, and I'm sure the showrunners will toe the line and argue with me, but when characters just disappear abruptly,
There's a reason.
there's a reason. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's just people don't want to do business with them. You don't want to deal with them. It's like get a good showrunner, but get them the hell out of here. There are some masochistic ones who will just say, okay, I'll put up with it, and there's some other showrunners who just don't care. You could all kill each other. Like I've known people run shows, but kill each other. Literally, I don't care. Pissing each other's mouths. I don't give a crap. I could give a shit less as long as I'm getting good
Sure, I can
ratings.
get
There's
more,
people
yeah.
like that too. But I think on these shows,
You can't
they're
tolerate
so
that.
intimate. When you see Bryan Cranston and the way they get along, and I don't know, hearing from Ray Romano and Drew Carey and like how they were so close on their shows, and they just don't tolerate it. And I don't know. So I buy that she's probably a train wreck, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's why they didn't just go.
I
kinda
buy
shuffle
that.
her out.
I buy that, and I saw that coming because even after the first season, I didn't know if she'd make it to season 2 because she was arrested on an assault charge in New York for like hitting somebody with a bottle or something. I mean,
Yeah.
she's just
she's
a
a lot of
mess.
fun.
Yeah,
a
a lot of fun.
She's a lot of
depending on
fun.
how you look
Yeah,
at it.
she's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I see her as a lot of fun. Okay, so I guess that's our news and gossip. Let's finally go to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions.
Oh my God.
Richard takes out Gyp.
But doesn't die.
But
Ooh,
doesn't die.
you're saying he's the one.
Richard takes out Gyp.
Hell
Yeah, I like that.
I didn't mean to yell. Sorry, fans.
That
Sorry.
ending scene of him lining up those guns, that doesn't happen unless Gyp gets killed.
By the way, like you just awoke a sleeping giant.
Exactly.
And you will be eternally sorry.
Al Capone looks like a Muppet Baby again next to Richard, in terms of
Okay.
taking out Gyp.
Yeah.
By the way, it looks like it can't be an hour. Maybe it is, but they'll look like you guys. There's a lot
of
going
stuff.
on there,
Better be
right?
longer than an hour.
Yeah.
I
at
feel
least
like
an
it
hour
seemed like
20.
it.
We deserve it.
We do deserve it. Hey, they're doing it at Sons of Anarchy. We can get it on this show. it looks like it's going to be longer, but I think it's just going to be non-effing stop. So
This season to me reminds me of fireworks. You go see fireworks, and at the beginning it's like, ooh, nice, one pops. You're like, ah, that one's okay. And then the finale comes, and it's boom, 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 nonstop. And then you're like, okay, I can go home now. I'm satisfied.
Guys, the final act of a movie.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
This
Next week is the last act, and then they'll lay down some groundwork for next year, and we'll start the ride up all over again.
I would love if Van Alden showed up with Capone.
There's
if
there's
he learned of him
two
yet.
places. Two things I'm wondering about. Where is Van Alden on this? Yes. Is it the last we've seen of him?
No.
I almost think
for the season?
For the season, yes, I think so.
Ah, okay.
Last week though, when we spoke, we said, you know, Capone doesn't know the maniac that is Van Alden.
Right.
And maybe he realized that while we weren't watching, and he can tap into him and bring him to Atlantic City.
But he wouldn't go to Atlantic City because he knows that the heat's on for him there. He'll get
Yeah.
arrested.
Yeah,
they
that's
know
true.
him there.
But it's
So you think that's it for? That
probably
might be
most
for-
likely.
till
Most
next-
likely.
We
But
don't
I would
need
like
him.
to see him.
We don't need him next week. There's enough.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Margaret.
okay, well,
what-
we see her with the bloodstained dress and screaming, and Richard with the blood-splattered mask.
So Richard's with her.
Richard.
So that means he goes out of his way.
Yeah.
Richard
so-
will definitely be where Margaret is if
So-
he's trying to get to Gyp.
Okay, so Richard is smart enough to know Gyp's the head of the snake. This is not about taking out Gillian.
Right.
It's I got to get the head of the
yes.
snake.
Yes.
Right? Because
Yes.
that's what brought hell onto the brothel.
Right.
Yes.
And if you see
Wow.
Margaret next to Richard, it's
And is
It's a
there
Gyp.
any kind of weird alliance between Gillian, like is it and Nucky? Is it one of those things where we can fight internally as a city or as a family, but an outside force comes and we stick up for each other?
I don't know, because it looks like Gillian was having sex with Gyp in the preview.
She was. Yeah, I think she was.
But I wanted to set him up though, like she
It
always
could be a
does.
setup.
The black-
She uses
the-
that Black Widow.
That
right.
web of hers. Woo.
Oh, I want to get caught in that web. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much.
There's
Thanks for
doctors
putting
for
up
that.
with my bad voice and everything else. I can't believe we got this done in 51 minutes. Wow, that's pretty good. You guys, please, where do I find you girls?
You can find me on Twitter at Kristen Carney. It's KristenCarney.
And you can find me at Twitter at Eboni, EBONI_K, or www.ebonykwilliams.com.
Ebony K. Williams! At underscore, what is it? At Ebony_K.
K.
That's easy.
Yeah.
And at Kristen Carney.
And just at Kristen
That's kind of
Carney.
easy too.
It's easy too. We're easy
Marissa,
girls.
where do we find you, Marissa?
I am at Marissa Movies.
All right, now listen, I ran that by
Okay,
Maria because she wanted to know what your
change
Twitter
it?
was. And she goes, and you know what she said? I don't
What?
want to say because we need to keep her an
Tell
American
me
sweetheart
afterwards.
role. No, but she agrees that, no, we got to do, you're in the TV world, babe.
Change it. All right.
Yeah, it could be new
We'll
media,
work
Marissa. It could be,
That'd be cool.
yeah,
Well,
anything.
I had Marissa Movies because that was my YouTube before I even got Twitter and Instagram, so I just kind
That
of
was
kept
back in the
name.
day. All right, but
Back in the
All right, so
day.
next week maybe we switch you over.
All right.
At Marissa TV, at
Alright.
Marissa AfterBuzz, at Marissa something. All right, anyway, but for now, at Marissa Movies. Marissa, thanks so much for being great on the board.
Woohoo.
And you guys, please bear with us. We'll be here, if not not Sunday night, and we'll be here Monday night, but we will deliver this show. And please, comments, questions, info at AfterBuzz TV. We love it all, and I guess we'll see you next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
Buzz
you
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.